Good evening, friends. Welcome to tonight's peaceful escape. It's so good to have you here, tucked away from the busyness of the world. Let's take a moment to settle in. Dim the lights, feel the weight of your blanket, and let your body relax into the comfort of your surroundings. Tonight, I invite you to join me in a journey, not through the bustling cities or noisy streets, but through the quiet, timeless spaces of ancient stone. We'll drift into the world of medieval castles, those grand fortresses that have stood against the passage of time. Take a slow, deep breath with me. Inhale gently, and as you exhale, let go of any tension that still lingers from the day. There's no hurry here, only soft moments of discovery, like a peaceful walk through the pages of history. Imagine the cool evening air, a soft breeze brushing against tall stone walls, the flicker of firelight casting shadows inside a castle hall, where the echoes of past voices still seem to linger. This journey will help you understand the care, the craft, and the quiet genius behind how these castles were built, how they were designed not only to survive, but to last for centuries. So if you feel at peace and this story helps you unwind, you may tap like and subscribe. Only if it feels right, of course. But for now, simply relax. Let go. The world outside will wait. And now, let's begin. Let the ancient walls of these castles whisper their stories to you as we explore how they were built to endure. Let me take you back now, far back, into a world before the hum of city streets or the rush of modern life. Imagine yourself in a time when the only sounds you hear are the soft rustling of leaves, the distant calls of birds, and the occasional creak of wooden carts rolling over cobblestones. The air feels different, doesn't it? A little crisper, a little more grounded in the earth itself. You find yourself standing on the edge of a great hill, gazing down at the site of what will soon become a towering castle. But before we begin building, before the stone is even quarried, let's take a moment to think about the most crucial part of any castle, the foundation. A castle can stand for centuries, but only if its foundation is built right. This is where the journey starts, with the deep, solid ground that will support everything that comes next. In those days, builders didn't have the convenience of modern machinery, or even precise measuring tools like we do now. But what they did have was a deep understanding of the land they were building on, an instinctive knowledge passed down through generations. The first step was always to find the perfect spot. And it wasn't just about choosing a place that looked nice. Oh no. The location had to be practical, and above all, defensible. Imagine yourself standing there, feeling the cool wind brush past your face as you look around. You might think, why here? What makes this place so special? Well, the answer lies in the ground beneath your feet. Builders would search for natural advantages like a hilltop or a raised plateau, places that offered a natural defense against invaders. The higher you built, the harder it would be for enemies to attack. This wasn't just about a scenic view, it was about strategy. From this elevated position, defenders could see anyone approaching long before they got close enough to do harm. Picture it now. The distant figures of an approaching army, slowly winding their way up the hill. By the time they reached the castle gates, the defenders would have plenty of time to prepare. The higher you built, the easier it was to defend. Once the site was chosen, the next task was to dig deep. And when I say deep, I mean deep. The foundation of a medieval castle had to be solid, something that would hold the weight of centuries of stonework. Castles were built to last, and that meant the base had to be more than just strong. It had to be unyielding. Workers, armed with only rudimentary tools, would begin to dig down, sometimes as far as 30 feet or more, depending on the castle's design. The deeper they dug, the more stable the structure would be, and the harder it would be for it to shift over time. A deep foundation also protected the castle from the effects of flooding and erosion, which were common challenges in medieval times. But it wasn't just about digging down, it was about digging smart. The workers would look for natural layers of hard, stable earth, layers that could bear the weight of the stone walls to come. Sometimes, if the ground was too soft, they would add a layer of gravel or even build wooden frames to help distribute the weight evenly. The goal was simple: create a base that would stand the test of time. Now, imagine the sounds of the digging, the steady rhythm of pickaxes striking the earth, the sound of shovels scraping against rock. It's a slow, methodical process, nothing rushed. The workers don't know it yet, but they're laying the groundwork for something that will outlast their own time. As the foundation deepens, you might wonder, how much stone will this take? How many men will it take to carry it all? The answer is, more than you can imagine. But for now, the builders aren't worrying about the weight of the stones. They're focusing on the ground beneath them. This is the first step to building something monumental. Now, let's take a brief pause and imagine a soft wind rustling through the trees. The workers stop for a moment, wiping their brows, listening to the distant sound of the forest around them. There's something peaceful about this process, isn't there? It's a rhythm that's slow, steady, unhurried, just like the passage of time itself. But the work doesn't stop there. Once the foundation is dug deep and wide enough, it's time to start laying the first stones. These stones are different from the ones used higher up in the castle. They're much larger and heavier. These are the cornerstones, the very heart of the foundation. Imagine the sound of these massive stones being lowered into place, each one carefully aligned to ensure the walls above will stand straight and true. The work is slow, so slow, but that's how castles are built, to last centuries. Nothing is hurried. Every stone is placed with care, every layer stacked with precision. And with each layer, the structure begins to rise, even if only a little at a time. The workers move with purpose, even as the sky above changes from the soft blues of morning to the golden hues of dusk. They know this will take time, but they also know it will last. This foundation, once complete, will support the weight of history itself. As the foundation continues to grow, let's take a moment to reflect. We're standing at the beginning of something great. The castle isn't here yet, but with each stone placed, with each layer added, we're moving closer to it. The foundations are where the story begins, where the strength to endure the ages is built. And as the workers step back for a moment, admiring their work, the castle's foundation is already beginning to take shape. Slowly but surely, it's starting to rise from the earth, strong, sturdy, and ready to face whatever time throws its way. As we leave the digging crew behind, imagine how the castle begins to rise, slowly but surely. The foundation has been laid, and with it, a promise of strength for centuries to come. Stay with me as we continue the journey into the next chapter, where we'll explore the mighty walls that will form the true backbone of the castle. But for now, let your mind drift with the hum of the distant work and rest in the calm rhythm of progress. Now that the foundation is set deep into the earth, it's time to turn our attention upward. The air feels different, doesn't it? The cool breeze, the scent of fresh earth, the faint rustling of leaves. It all seems to come alive as the castle begins to take shape. The ground beneath us is firm, steady, prepared to hold the weight of centuries to come. But of course, there's still much work ahead. Imagine, just for a moment, standing at the base of a towering wall made of stone, looking up. The stones that line these walls are not just any ordinary stones. No, these are carefully chosen, quarried from far and wide, each one a piece of the larger puzzle. These walls aren't just for show. They're designed with a purpose: to protect, to defend, to endure. The walls of a medieval castle are its true strength. They are the barrier between the safety of those inside and the dangers of the world outside. As we stand here watching the work unfold, we can almost hear the sound of the stonemasons at work, chiseling away at each stone with precision. The sound of the hammer striking the chisel, the delicate tapping of the stone as it is shaped, and the soft murmur of the workers' voices as they communicate. These sounds fill the air like a rhythmic lullaby, a calming reminder that the work is being done with care, with thought, and with patience. These walls will be the first line of defense, but more than that, they will be a testament to the ingenuity of the builders, designed to withstand not just the weapons of the day, but the ravages of time itself. Now, imagine watching as the builders begin stacking those heavy stones, one on top of the other, slowly forming the towering walls. It's a slow process, one stone at a time, but it's methodical, and each stone is carefully placed, ensuring that the wall will be strong enough to endure. The stones are not just random pieces tossed together haphazardly. No, each stone has been cut and shaped to fit perfectly into the wall. The masons use a technique called coursing, where each layer of stone is carefully arranged to create a pattern, a rhythmic structure that will hold together under pressure. It's like the gentle stacking of building blocks, but on a much grander scale. As you watch, you might notice that the stones are not all the same size. Some are large, others small. This is no accident. The larger stones are placed at the base, where they will bear the most weight, while the smaller stones are used higher up. It's a clever design, one that ensures the walls remain stable, no matter the weather, no matter the passing of time. You might wonder, why all this effort? Why not just stack the stones randomly, like we do with bricks today? Well, that's because these walls need to be strong enough to protect from more than just the elements. These walls must be able to withstand the force of battering rams, arrows, and even the heavy impact of a siege. A random arrangement of stones wouldn't stand a chance against such forces. But these walls, they're built with purpose. Each stone is carefully chosen and placed, ensuring that the weight is distributed evenly, preventing any weakness or cracks from forming. It's a delicate dance, one that requires patience and skill. And the beauty of it is that even though these walls are made of stone, they seem to have a life of their own, as if they breathe with the rhythm of the workers' movements. As the walls rise higher and higher, you can begin to see the castle taking shape. You can almost feel the weight of the stone pressing down on you, a gentle reminder of the strength that will protect those who live inside. The walls are not just functional, they're also designed to inspire awe. They are a symbol of power, a reminder that this fortress will stand against time, against enemies, and against anything that might try to tear it down. And yet, there's something peaceful about the construction. The workers move with a quiet confidence, each stone laid with purpose, each layer carefully built upon the last. It's as if they know that they're not just building a structure, they're building something that will endure long after they're gone. Something that will stand tall and proud for generations to come. You might wonder about the colors of the stones. As you look up, you see that they vary, ranging from a soft golden hue to a deep gray. The stones are often made from local materials, quarried from nearby hills or riverbeds. Sometimes, the builders will use stones of different colors to create a striking pattern, or to highlight certain features of the castle, like the corners or the towers. The result is a wall that feels as though it's alive, changing with the light of the day, shifting with the seasons. As we stand here watching the walls rise before us, it's easy to forget how much effort has gone into this. It's easy to forget that each stone has been moved by hand, each layer placed with care, each step taken with the knowledge that this castle must stand for centuries to come. And yet, here it is, rising before us, slowly but surely. But there's more to these walls than just their strength. The masons know that the design of the walls plays a crucial role in their ability to withstand attack. The thickness of the walls, the angle of the stones, even the way they are joined together. All of these factors have been carefully considered to ensure that the castle can endure whatever the world throws at it. The walls are often much thicker at the base, tapering off as they rise higher. This creates a natural defense against battering rams and siege engines, which were designed to knock down walls. The thicker the walls at the base, the harder it is for these devices to do any damage. The higher, narrower walls, on the other hand, are designed to make it more difficult for attackers to scale them. It's a clever design, one that combines both form and function in a way that was ahead of its time. You might wonder how the builders were able to carry these heavy stones up to such heights. Well, they used a variety of clever tools and techniques. Pulley systems, cranes, and ramps were all part of the process. The builders would carefully lift the stones into place, using ropes and wooden scaffolding to support their efforts. It's incredible, really. How much ingenuity went into creating a structure that could withstand not only the forces of nature, but also the forces of war. And as the walls continue to rise, you might find yourself lost in the quiet rhythm of the construction. The slow, steady placement of each stone, the soft murmur of the workers as they move about, the distant hum of the wind as it whispers through the trees. All of these sounds blend together to create a peaceful, almost meditative atmosphere. The castle is rising slowly, like the calm waves of the sea lapping gently at the shore. As you stand here, watching the walls take shape, you can't help but feel a sense of wonder. The castle is more than just a building. It's a symbol of strength, resilience, and the passage of time. And as we leave this place, let's hold on to that sense of wonder, knowing that with each stone placed, with each layer added, this castle is becoming something timeless, something that will stand long after the workers have gone. As we leave behind the towering walls, rising higher with each passing moment, let's pause and let the quiet hum of construction linger in our minds. The castle stands, its walls strong and unyielding, ready to face the challenges of the centuries ahead. Let's continue our journey together, moving now toward the skilled hands of the stonemasons who shaped each stone with such care. But for now, let your mind drift and allow the peaceful rhythm of this ancient work to carry you into the next chapter. As we stand before the mighty walls, now towering with strength, it's easy to forget the artistry that went into their creation. You see, the walls themselves are just one part of a much grander story. A story shaped by the hands of those whose skill and precision gave these castles their form. The stonemasons, these craftsmen whose craft seemed as old as the stones they shaped, were the silent architects of the castle's soul. Imagine for a moment the scene before you, the rhythmic sound of chisels against stone, the soft tapping of hammers as each block is carefully carved and shaped. It's a delicate process, one that requires patience and steady hands. The masons move with a quiet focus, working their way through each stone, with a rhythm all their own. There's a quiet hum to the work, almost like a lullaby, where every tap, every strike is deliberate, careful, intentional. The masons weren't just working with stone, they were working with history itself, shaping the very material that would hold the castle together for centuries. Each block, each shape, was made to fit perfectly into the intricate puzzle that would become the castle's walls. And this wasn't something they could rush. Oh no, this work took time. Sometimes, a lot of time. In those days, the stonemasons weren't just craftsmen. They were true artists. The walls they built weren't just functional. They were works of art, designed to last long after the builders had left. The masons used their chisels like a sculptor would use a brush, shaping the stone with care, making sure that each piece would fit into the larger structure with precision. Imagine yourself as one of these masons, working alongside others in the early morning light. You lift a heavy stone, feeling its weight in your hands, and place it carefully onto the structure. But before it is placed, you must first smooth it, carve it, shape it with your tools. Your chisel clicks softly against the rough surface of the stone, leaving small marks that slowly transform it into a perfectly formed block. It's a subtle sound, nothing harsh, just a rhythmic tapping, like a soft knock at the door of history. Each stone that you shape is part of something greater, a structure that will withstand the passage of time. The castle you're building isn't just a home, it's a fortress, a symbol of power. And each time you strike your chisel against the stone, you're adding to that legacy. There's a quiet satisfaction in this work, a sense of peace that comes from the knowledge that what you're creating will endure for centuries. The stonemasons worked with a variety of stones, each chosen for its own specific qualities. Some stones were soft and easy to shape, while others were harder and more difficult to work with. But each stone was chosen for a reason. Some were selected for their strength, others for their color or texture. The masons knew that each type of stone would serve a different purpose in the castle's design. Some would be used in the foundation, others in the walls, and still others in the decorative features of the castle. But what really made the masons stand out was their ability to work with stone in a way that was almost magical. They didn't just cut it, they shaped it, molded it, and made it work for them. They knew the properties of the stone they were working with, its weight, its texture, its durability. They understood how each piece of stone would react over time. And this knowledge allowed them to create a structure that would not only stand strong against the elements, but also stand the test of time. There's something almost meditative about this work, isn't there? The slow, rhythmic tapping of the chisel, the steady movement of the hands as they shape the stone, each strike a small act of creation. The work of the mason is quiet, patient, and precise. There's no rush here. Time moves differently when you're shaping something that will last for centuries. It's as if, in this moment, the world slows down just for you. As you watch the masons work, you might notice something else. The way they communicate. The work requires intense focus, but the masons don't work in silence. They exchange quiet words, small instructions, or gentle reminders as they move about. There's a rhythm to their speech, just like there's a rhythm to their work. It's a language all its own, one that flows as naturally as the tapping of their tools. But it wasn't just the stone masons who shaped the walls. They worked closely with the other craftsmen, the carpenters, the blacksmiths, the laborers, each of them playing a vital role in the construction of the castle. The masons might have shaped the stones, but the carpenters would create the scaffolding that allowed them to reach the higher levels of the walls. The blacksmiths would forge the tools needed for the job, and the laborers would carry the stones, move the materials, and help the masons in any way they could. Together, they formed a team, each person with their own role to play, each working toward a common goal. And in the quiet hum of their combined efforts, the castle slowly began to take shape. It's important to understand, too, that the work of the masons wasn't just about shaping the stones. It was also about ensuring that everything fit together perfectly. Every stone had to be placed in exactly the right spot, each one fitting perfectly with the next. This wasn't just about strength, it was about precision. A misaligned stone could weaken the wall, causing problems down the line. So the masons worked with a level of detail that would make the finest artists envious. You might be wondering, how did they know exactly where each stone should go? The answer lies in the designs that were created beforehand. The masons had blueprints, drawings of the castle that outlined every part of the structure, every wall, every tower, every window. These blueprints weren't like the ones we use today, of course. They were drawn by hand, and they were often a little rough, a little vague, but they were enough to guide the masons in their work. And as the masons worked, their hands and eyes would scan the stone, making sure everything was just right. They knew that the slightest error could affect the entire structure. It's almost like a puzzle, each piece fitting together perfectly, but only if you pay close attention. But as we stand here watching the masons at work, there's a peacefulness in it all. The stone is hard, yes, but it's also malleable in the hands of those who know how to shape it. The masons aren't just working with their tools, they're working with time itself, shaping something that will stand for centuries. And with each stone, with each strike of the chisel, they're building more than just walls. They're building a legacy. A castle is not just a building. It's a monument, a symbol of endurance, strength, and artistry. And as the walls rise around us, we can feel the quiet magic of that legacy taking shape, one stone at a time. As we leave the masons behind, their hands still steady against the stone, we can appreciate the delicate artistry that went into every corner of the castle. The walls continue to rise, each stone placed with care and precision. And now, as we drift away from this peaceful scene, we prepare to explore the defenses beyond the walls. But for now, let the quiet rhythm of the stonemasons' work lull you into a sense of calm as we continue our journey. As we stand here watching the towering walls rise higher and higher, it's hard not to be in awe of the sheer size and strength of the structure. But we must remember that a castle's walls, though mighty, are only part of the story. The walls may be the first line of defense, but beyond them lies a series of clever, often hidden defenses, designed not just to protect, but to make the castle nearly impenetrable. Imagine yourself walking around the castle now, just beyond the main walls, stepping carefully on the rough earth beneath your feet. There's a subtle hum in the air, a quiet tension, as if the land itself is holding its breath. You notice the space around the castle. There's something different about it. The ground seems to slope down, and the distance between you and the walls is larger than you expected. In fact, it's almost as if the castle is separated from the outside world by an empty space, an open area that seems oddly barren. This space is known as the moat, and it's one of the most iconic features of medieval castle defenses. Imagine standing at the edge of this water-filled trench, looking into the still, dark water that stretches out before you. The moat isn't just there to look impressive. It's a strategic defense, designed to slow down or completely block attackers from reaching the castle walls. In the past, the moat would have been filled with water, often sourced from nearby rivers or streams. But in dry areas where water wasn't readily available, the moat could be left empty or filled with a variety of other obstacles, like spikes or even thorny bushes, to make it even more difficult for enemies to cross. Picture the sight of an army, perhaps marching toward the castle in the early morning light, weapons glinting in the sun. As they approach, they see the moat ahead of them, a wide expanse of water that they must cross to get closer to the castle. The attackers, no doubt, would feel the weight of the decision. Would they try to build a bridge, risk crossing the water on foot, or perhaps they would turn away and look for another way around? Either way, the moat serves as a powerful deterrent, but that's just the first obstacle. Once the attackers manage to find a way across, they're faced with the next defense, the drawbridge. This is the entrance to the castle, the way in. Imagine standing on the drawbridge, feeling the slight sway as it creaks underfoot. You can almost hear the sound of chains groaning as they lift the bridge, separating you from the outside world. Once the bridge is raised, the attackers would be completely cut off from the castle, trapped outside, with no way in. Now, let's imagine the castle under siege. The attackers, having crossed the moat and perhaps even broken through the outer gate, now face the castle's outer courtyard. This area is often filled with all sorts of obstacles and traps, cleverly designed to slow down or stop invaders. The narrow, winding paths lead them toward the castle's core, but there's little room to maneuver. The walls tower above, providing shelter for the defenders who have the high ground. Imagine, if you will, the defenders on top of the walls, looking down at the invaders below, ready to pour hot oil or boiling water onto the attackers, or fire arrows from above. The invaders, helpless beneath the towering walls, would be left scrambling to find cover. What's most interesting is that the outer courtyard was often designed to make it harder for attackers to reach the castle's gates. The paths would often wind, sometimes in tight, confusing ways, forcing invaders to slow down and become more vulnerable. Every step they took was calculated, every move designed to make it harder for them to succeed. But the defenses don't stop there. If we take a step back and look at the entire castle from a distance, we notice something else: its shape. Most castles were built with a specific shape in mind, one that provided both natural and strategic advantages. The shape was often irregular, designed to maximize the number of defensive positions available, making it difficult for attackers to know where to strike. There were no easy entrances or obvious weak points. Every corner of the castle had been carefully considered to make sure that invaders would always be at a disadvantage. One of the most ingenious features of the castle's defenses is the battlements, those familiar crenellated walls that crown the top of the fortress. You might be familiar with the look, those little gaps or notches that allow defenders to shoot arrows or throw objects down onto anyone attempting to breach the walls. But they weren't just for show. These battlements were carefully designed to provide maximum protection for the defenders while allowing them to strike at their enemies. They allowed the archers or crossbowmen to shoot while remaining sheltered, protected by the high walls. From these gaps, arrows could rain down, preventing attackers from getting too close. And then, of course, there's the keep. This is the central building, often the tallest and strongest part of the castle. Imagine standing in its shadow, feeling the weight of the stone towering above you. The keep was designed to be the last line of defense. It was the safest place in the castle, the final refuge in case of a siege. If the walls and outer defenses fell, the keep was where the defenders would retreat to. With its thick, almost impenetrable walls, it would be the last bastion of safety. But the keep wasn't just a fortress in itself. it was often designed to be difficult to approach. The entrances were carefully placed, often with steep, narrow stairways that would be difficult for attackers to navigate. Inside, the keep would be a place of comfort and protection. But don't be mistaken, it wasn't just for royalty. In the event of a siege, anyone inside the castle would retreat to the keep, where they would be safe from harm. The keep was the heart of the castle, both physically and strategically. And beyond all of these physical defenses, there was also the psychological element at play. Imagine being an invader, standing at the foot of a castle, knowing that beyond those towering walls and across that wide moat lies the threat of sharp arrows, boiling oil, and the impossible task of breaching the gate. The psychological weight of the defenses was often enough to discourage attackers from even attempting to breach the castle. The castle itself became a symbol of power, of resilience, and of almost unyielding strength. To stand before a castle, to face those formidable defenses, was to face something almost insurmountable. As we stand here gazing at the complex and intricate defenses beyond the walls, it's easy to see how these structures were designed to do more than just keep invaders out. They were built to send a message of strength, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to protect what was inside. These defenses were a testament to the ingenuity of the builders, and a reminder of the lengths to which they went to ensure the safety of those who sought shelter behind the walls of the castle. As we step away from the castle's outer defenses, we find ourselves once again in the calm embrace of the castle's core, where life goes on despite the dangers beyond. The quiet rhythm of the work continues, and the castle stands resolute, its defenses ready for whatever may come. Let your mind rest now, knowing that these defenses will hold strong for centuries to come, and soon we will delve into the heart of the castle, life within the walls, where those who call the castle home live, work, and thrive. But for now, let the quiet hum of the castle's defenses lull you into a peaceful state, ready for the next chapter of our journey together. As we leave the outer defenses behind, the castle's towering walls now stand silent, holding within them a different world. A world where the hum of daily life is as steady as the stone beneath our feet. We've seen the outer strength of the castle, but now we turn inward, toward the heart of the fortress. It's here, within these sturdy walls, that the true life of the castle unfolds, where the rhythm of daily routines, the bustle of activity, and the quiet comforts of home coexist. Imagine stepping through the castle's great doors, past the guards who stand at attention, and into the cool, echoing halls within. The air here is a little different, slightly warmer, a touch more inviting than the cold stone outside. The scent of wood and stone fills your nose, and the faint crackle of a fire in the hearth offers a sense of warmth and comfort. The castle, despite its imposing exterior, is a home, and within these walls, life goes on. Let's start with the great hall, the beating heart of the castle. Picture a space so large, so open, that it almost feels like stepping into a world of its own. The high wooden beams overhead stretch up toward the ceiling, and the large stone fireplace casts a flickering glow across the room. The great hall is where the lord and lady of the castle would hold court, where they would receive visitors, and where everyone would gather to share meals, celebrate victories, and discuss important matters. At one end of the hall, imagine a long wooden table, its surface worn smooth from years of use. It's covered with platters of food, roast meats, bread, and vegetables from the castle's garden. The atmosphere here is one of lively conversation and shared laughter. The air is filled with the hum of voices, with servants moving quickly in and out, carrying food and drink to the lords and ladies at the head of the table. But despite the bustle, there's a sense of calm here too, a slow rhythm to the conversation, the clink of goblets, the quiet shuffle of feet as people move from one part of the hall to another. Imagine standing in the great hall, taking in the sights and sounds around you, the warmth of the fire on your face, the richness of the food on the table, the deep voices of the men who sit at the table, talking politics and trade. You can almost feel the weight of history in this space, knowing that kings and queens, knights and nobles have gathered here for centuries. But the great hall isn't just for the nobility. It's the heart of the castle, where the common folk would also come together. The servants, the craftsmen, the farmers, and all those who worked within the castle's walls would gather here as well, sharing in the warmth of the fire and the camaraderie of the community. The great hall was a place where everyone could feel the pulse of life within the castle, where even in the midst of a siege, the spirit of the castle remained strong. Let's move on now, passing through the great hall and into the private chambers of the lord and lady. The transition from the public space of the great hall to the more intimate, personal spaces of the castle is subtle but distinct. The air here is quieter, more serene, and the room is filled with rich tapestries that hang from the walls, offering warmth and color to the stone interior. You can almost hear the soft rustling of fabric as the tapestries move gently with the breeze, adding a touch of softness to the otherwise austere atmosphere. In these private chambers, the lord and lady would sleep, relax, and retreat from the public eye. Imagine the bed, a large, four-poster affair, draped in heavy, luxurious fabrics. The soft glow of candles flickers on the bedside table, casting gentle shadows on the walls. The bed itself, though it might seem simple by today's standards, is an oasis of comfort in a world of hard stone and cold nights. Thick blankets, often made of wool or fur, provide warmth during the long winters, and soft pillows stuffed with down offer respite after a long day of ruling. Now, take a moment to imagine the sounds in this space. The soft crackle of a fire in the hearth, the gentle ticking of a wooden clock on the mantelpiece, the quiet murmur of voices outside the door as servants go about their work. It's peaceful here, a far cry from the chaos of the world outside the castle's walls. But life within the castle wasn't just about leisure and luxury. There was also work to be done. And the castle was full of spaces where the daily grind of life unfolded. In the kitchens, for example, the clatter of pots and pans fills the air, accompanied by the scent of roasting meat and freshly baked bread. The kitchen is always bustling, the heart of the castle's food production, where meals are prepared for both the nobility and the workers who sustain the castle. Picture the kitchen staff working in harmony, their movements quick and practiced as they chop vegetables, stir pots, and tend to the fires. The sound of knives slicing through vegetables, the sizzle of meat on a hot pan, and the low hum of conversation create a steady rhythm in this room. Despite the hard work, there's a sense of satisfaction in the air, a feeling that the meals prepared here will nourish not just the body, but the spirit as well. In the barracks and armory, things are a bit more serious. These spaces are filled with the clanking of armor being polished, swords being sharpened, and shields being repaired. The sounds here are sharp and focused, a reminder that the castle must always be prepared for attack, even as life within its walls goes on. The soldiers who sleep in the barracks know that they are part of something much larger, part of the castle's strength, part of its heart. But even in these more utilitarian spaces, there's a sense of order and care. The armory, for example, is carefully organized, with weapons and armor hanging neatly on racks. The blacksmiths, working tirelessly, use their hammers to shape iron into tools of defense. The forge glows with the light of the fire, and the rhythmic sound of hammer striking metal echoes through the space. It's a constant reminder of the balance that exists within the castle, between peace and preparation, between comfort and defense. Life in the castle was a delicate balance of work, rest, and duty. And while the castle may seem like an imposing structure from the outside, inside, it was a community, a place where everyone from the highest noble to the lowest servant played their part in ensuring the castle's continued success. As we continue our journey through the castle, we move from room to room, from space to space, all while knowing that each part of the castle has its own rhythm, its own purpose. And in the heart of it all, the great hall, the private chambers, the kitchens, the barracks, there's a sense of belonging, of being part of something greater, something that will last for generations to come. As we step away from the warmth of the castle's heart, we leave behind the bustling halls, the flickering firelight, and the comforting hum of daily life. But know that the spirit of the castle is strong, and its life continues, quietly, steadily. As we leave this space, let's prepare to move into the final chapter of our journey, where we will explore the legacy of these magnificent castles, standing tall and proud through the ages. As we draw closer to the end of our journey, let's take a step back and gaze upon the towering structure that has been our constant companion throughout this adventure. The walls, the towers, the mighty defenses, all of it is now before us, standing still, timeless, and resilient. And as we stand here, we begin to appreciate the true endurance of these castles, which have not only survived wars, sieges, and the passage of time, but have also become symbols of the strength and ingenuity of the people who built them. Imagine, just for a moment, walking through a medieval landscape, one that is familiar yet ancient. The sound of your footsteps echoes against the cobblestones as you approach the base of the castle. The air is cool. A slight breeze rustles the leaves of nearby trees, and the scent of earth and stone fills your lungs. But there's something different about this moment, something profound. This castle, though centuries old, stands as solid as ever, its stones weathered by time, yet unwavering in their strength. The castle has seen much. It has witnessed kings rise and fall, wars waged, and empires crumble, yet it remains steadfast and proud. The passage of time may have changed the world around it, but the castle's strength has allowed it to endure. This is the magic of medieval castles, not just their ability to survive, but their ability to transcend the ages. In the midst of the modern world, where everything moves so quickly and technology advances at lightning speed, it's almost difficult to imagine a time when buildings like this were constructed with nothing but human hands, skill, and sheer determination. Yet, here they stand, lasting far longer than most of the world's modern structures will ever hope to. You might be wondering, how is it possible that something built so long ago is still standing? The answer lies in the careful design and craftsmanship of those who built them. Every decision, from the choice of materials to the techniques used in construction, was made with an understanding of the harsh conditions these castles would face. The thick stone walls, the carefully planned foundations, the defensive features, all of these elements were designed to endure, to outlast the fleeting moments of history. These castles were built not only for war, but for survival. The stones used to build them were quarried from the earth with precision, cut to fit together perfectly. The mortar that held the stones in place was mixed with care, ensuring that it would bind tightly and resist the forces of nature. And because of this attention to detail, the castles didn't just survive the years, they flourished. Over the centuries, as other buildings fell into disrepair or crumbled under the weight of time, the castles stood resilient, each layer of stone a testament to the skill of the masons who crafted them. And while the purpose of these castles was primarily military, they also served as symbols of power and authority. The grandeur of the walls, the size of the towers, and the scale of the architecture conveyed a message to all who approached. This was a place of strength, of security, and of unwavering protection. To gaze up at the towering walls of a castle in medieval times would have been to understand instantly that this was not just a building, it was a fortress. And that sense of power, even centuries later, still lingers as we look upon these magnificent structures today. Now picture the castle not in the midst of a siege, but in a more peaceful time, one where it has become a symbol of heritage and history. Today, many castles are no longer the fortresses they once were, but they still stand as silent witnesses to the passage of time. Some have been abandoned, overtaken by nature, while others have been lovingly restored, preserved as monuments to the past. But no matter their current state, all of them share a common thread, a legacy that has endured through the centuries. Imagine walking through a restored castle today, the echo of your footsteps mingling with the whispers of the past. The stone floors, worn smooth by centuries of use, seem to carry the weight of history in every step. The walls, though aged, still stand tall, a testament to the skill of the builders who crafted them. The windows, though no longer filled with the banners of war, offer a glimpse into the past, framing views of landscapes that have changed little over the years. As you move through the rooms, you might find yourself imagining what life was like here centuries ago. The great feasts held in the hall, the flickering light of the hearth in the private chambers, the quiet rhythm of daily life that once filled these halls. The castle, though silent now, still seems to pulse with the memories of those who lived within its walls. And beyond the walls of the castle, time continues to move forward. The world around it changes. New cities rise, new technologies emerge, and the landscape itself evolves. But the castle remains, standing as a marker of a different era, a bridge between the past and the present. It's as if these castles are time capsules, preserving the spirit of a bygone age for future generations to explore and learn from. It's remarkable, isn't it? The way these castles have endured, the way they have withstood the forces of time and nature, war and change, to become the enduring symbols they are today. The people who built them couldn't have known that their work would stand the test of time so perfectly that centuries later, people would still be marveling at the strength, the design, and the beauty of these fortresses. But there's something else, something almost intangible, about the legacy of medieval castles. It's not just the stone, or the mortar, or the grand architecture. It's the sense of continuity that they represent, the link between the past and the present, the connection between the people who lived in these castles and the generations that came after them. As you stand here gazing at the castle's stone walls, you realize that this is not just a relic of the past. It's a living piece of history, a connection to the people who built it, the lives that were lived within it, and the world that it once shaped. Even as time continues to move forward, these castles stand as a quiet reminder that history is not something that happens in the past. It's something that lives on, in the stories we tell, in the places we preserve, and and in the structures that continue to stand as silent witnesses to the ages. And so, the castle, though it may no longer be a place of war, remains a place of strength, a symbol of endurance and resilience. It stands as a tribute to the generations that built it, and to the generations that will come after us, who will continue to marvel at the quiet strength that these castles embody. As our journey comes to a close, let us reflect on the castles we've explored, from their solid foundations to the intricate craftsmanship of their walls, from the bustling life within to the defenses that made them impenetrable. These castles are more than just buildings. They are symbols of strength, endurance, and history. May their legacy continue to inspire us, even as we drift into the peaceful embrace of sleep. May these memories guide you into peaceful dreams. If you drifted off, let me know below. Sweet dreams, my friend. Until next time, rest well.